Hello, and welcome to the Pika T701 video installation guide. In this video, we're going to go over the major steps involved in preparing and installing a Pika turbine. I'm your host, Jeremy. Let's get started. The Pika T701 turbine is the workhorse of any wind or wind plus solar energy installation. It converts wind into clean power 24 hours a day. Now, when you receive your Pika T701, your boxes should look a lot like this. One box containing the nacelle, blade hub, installation and operation manuals. One box containing your blades, the tail boom, and another one containing your tail vanes. The first step in installing your T701 turbine is assembling the blade hub. To begin this process, remove the blade hub from the turbine's main shaft. Set out the blade hub, spline side up, on a clean surface, such as this cardboard. This is to prevent any dirt from entering the greased bore of the main shaft. If it's very windy out, you may have to tape off or plug the bore. Now you're set to start installing the blades to the hub. The three large holes on the blades should face down. Make sure that all three match up and seat well with the machine bosses. Prepare the 6 long blade bolts by stacking a conical Belleville washer and a larger yellow zinc washer. It's very important that the cone side of the Belleville washer is facing the bolt head. Finger tighten all 6 downwind blade bolts. Now flip the entire assembly to access the upwind side of the blade assembly. Using the same washer configuration as before, install the 9 upwind blade bolts and torque them to 25 foot-pounds of pressure. Flip the entire blade assembly over. Suspend the blade assembly from a set of sawhorses or similar. This will force the blade root to bear against the blade hub correctly. Torque each downwind blade bolt to 25 foot-pounds. It's time to start installing the actual turbine to the tower. In about half an hour, you're going to come back to this and retorque all of these bolts. Now it's time to install the actual turbine to the tower. Before installing the nacelle, make sure that at least 24 inches of power cable extends beyond the tower top, and that the blue shroud and the yaw plug have both been removed. With the helper, lift the nacelle near the tower top. Thread the power cable through the bottom of the yaw casting. Ensure at this point that there are no twists or kinks in the wire. After hand tightening the yaw, use a large chain wrench to turn the yaw once, if not twice more. Use a second chain wrench or a large pipe wrench to apply opposing force to the tower if needed. Now tighten the yaw jam screw to 13 foot-pounds of torque. Great. Now that we have the turbine installed to the tower, it's time to wire it up. Start by pulling the power cable over the strain relief bracket and marking the position of the cable clamp bar on the cable's insulation. Make another mark about ½ inch below the first. Now strip the outer insulation of your cable back to your second mark. Then, strip the ends of your conductors. Begin tightening the bar clamp down on the power cable. As you do, make sure to leave enough gray insulation to protect individual conductors from the bar clamp. Alternate turning the left and right screws to ensure even tightening. Torque to just 4 inch-pounds. Begin wiring the brush puck by making a small clockwise loop at the end of each conductor. Now mark your conductors according to rebus convention. The white wire, rebus positive, gets red tape. The black wire, rebus negative, gets blue tape. First, connect the bare ground wire to the terminal on the brush puck, marked with the ground symbol. Next, connect the positive and negative rebus conductors to their respective terminals in the same manner as the ground wire. Remember, red and white is positive, black and blue is negative. Ensure that none of the leads from the power cable extend beyond the diameter of the brush puck. Now torque each terminal screw to 1.1 foot-pounds. Now that we've mounted the nacelle to the tower and completed our wiring, it's time to install the blade hub assembly to the turbine. But first, we have to retorque all these bolts. After having let the blade hub assembly rest for ½ an hour, return with a torque wrench and ensure that each and every bolt is still torqued to 18 foot-pounds of pressure. Prepare the main shaft for the blade hub assembly by removing the left-hand nut and large stainless washer, and by checking that the orange shaft seal gasket is entirely visible and in place. Now apply a thin layer of grease to the shaft, and a generous bead of Loctite to the left-hand stud. Now, with the helper, lift the spline side of the blade hub assembly to the shaft. Make sure that the splines of the hub and the splines of the turbine's magnet rotor mate smoothly. As your helper holds the blade hub assembly, reinstall the large stainless steel washer and the left-hand nut. Now torque the hub nut to 63 foot-pounds. To prevent the main shaft from rotating during this operation, insert a hex key into the small hole near the tip of the shaft. Now to assemble a tail boom. You're going to need the boom coming out of the blade box and this package of tail vanes. To assemble the tail, simply remove the protective film from the tail vanes if it is present. Now mount the vanes to the boom using the bolts and the nylock nuts provided. Mount the tail assembly by inserting the boom into the rear of the nacelle and torquing the bolts to 25 Newton meters. Secure the tail assembly with the two long M8 hex bolts and small 8mm washers. Check that the vanes are parallel with the tower before flying the turbine. Secure the tail boom with some strong cord to prevent the turbine from yawing during pre-flight checks. Just rotate the blades slowly. Feel for a smooth resistance. If any scraping, grinding, or squeaking is felt, stop and correct the issue before proceeding. Now install the blue shroud using 4 gasketed M4 screws. Tighten them until the gaskets bulge slightly, but not so much that they squish out from underneath the screw head. Now place and install the nose cone using the 3 short M4 screws included in your hardware kit. Now that you've installed your shroud and your nose cone, and assuming that you've already completed your pre-flight checks, you're ready to unstake your turbine. This time, you should be ready to raise your turbine according to the tower manufacturer's directions. Thanks for watching today. My name is Jeremy with Pika Energy.